What's up guys? Today we're taking a look at a cool EQ pedal from the guys at GupTech. This is the PDEQ pedal. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, don't focus on my face, focus on this cool pedal. So yeah, this is their PDEQ pedal and they want to get this thing onto as many pedal boards as they can. So like the title of the video suggests, you can win one of these and stick around. I'll tell you how you can do that later on. So I stumbled across this brand kind of researching another amp and that I'm going to be demoing soon on the channel, and I hit up the guys at GupTech to see if they wanted to team up for some content here on the channel, and they said let's do this. Now for transparency to you guys, they did send me this in exchange for the content that you're seeing and probably quite a bit future content based on how much I like this unit. As usual though, everything that you're seeing are my own thoughts and they don't get to see this until it goes public, just like the rest of you. Okay, so this is the PDEQ pedal, and as you can see by the layout and the controls, you get individual depth and presence control that you can run the pedal in the loop of your amp, and you get the depth and presence controls. And effectively what this does is it gives you more control over the low end and the top end of the amp. So if you've ever wanted more low end grunt or more top end sparkle, this pedal allows you to individually toggle on or off each control to add as much or as little of that extra low end or top end as you want. Now I've got this in the loop of the Kraken here, and despite this being version 2 of the amp, one of the more common complaints about the first generation Kraken was that it was a little bit too dark of an amp. And here in the studio, I said in my review video last year of the Mark II, I really wouldn't mind a little bit more low end from the lead channel. So I think this is a perfect candidate of an amplifier to really demonstrate what this pedal can do. And I'm going to be taking the presence control and putting it all the way down so that it's effectively removed from the circuit to mimic what the Mark I version of the Kraken sounds like. So we can hear whether this pedal can brighten up the top end and give the Mark I Kraken owners an inexpensive solution to sort of beat that Mark II FOMO. I'm also going to be showing how the depth control can beef up that low end on the amp, and how both the depth control combined with the bass shift control on the back can really help shape the low end. The bass shift control, when it's engaged, it will pull some of that low end out and it'll tighten up the structure, overall structure of the amp, sort of to get a little bit cleaner and tighter high gain metal low end that metal players typically would want from an amplifier. And I want to see if I can leave that bass shift engaged so that it's tightened up the low end, but still get some of that extra rumble back from the PDEQ pedal. And also today, as you can see, I'm using the newest member of the studio. This is my new Schecter C-1 EA Classic, which I reviewed and gigged with earlier this year, and I absolutely loved it. And it is the perfect instrument for our band's acoustic shows, where I switch between the magnetic pickups and for the high gain solos, and the piezo pickups for most of the songs and the rhythms and stuff like that. Now, I grabbed this unit from Zounds and I used their handy 0% interest payment plan that makes getting your hands on new gear super easy and gives you the flexibility to set up those payments to work with your monthly spending budget. I have also got this thing loaded up with the StringJoy Morton signature set, and I'm really digging these things. The bottom 3 strings are a hair lighter than the NYXL D'Addarios that I used to use, but the top 3 strings are a little bit bigger, and it allows me to retain a little bit more tension when dropped down to C sharp or C if I decide to go that low on those top strings, and kind of helps keep that a little bit cleaner and tighter. And the lighter bottom 3 strings, they're a little bit easier to bend and play lead work on. It's not a huge difference, but it is a noticeable difference. So yeah, just a quick update on the StringJoys, and I'm still loving them, and I figured that you guys were due for an update just like I promised I would be doing periodically this year. So in addition to the Schecter, I'm obviously using the Kraken here, and I'm also using the Splawn 412 cab with an i5 and a 421 that is on a Scumback H75 with a little reverb that I'm going to add in post, and that's it. All right, let's go. Let's hear this thing. So as you can hear on the Crunch channel, it has a fatter and smoother sound compared to the lead channel, and while it doesn't necessarily need any extra depth or low end, it didn't hurt the sound and it didn't turn it mushy in the low end. It just sort of lightly enhanced what was already there. The presence control gave a nice extra cut to the top end without making it harsh or fizzy, which is absolutely critical in my opinion for a great Crunch channel sound. All right, let's switch over and hear the lead channel. And again, the presence shift control is disabled, and I'm going to start off and I'm going to keep the presence knob all the way down so it's effectively out of the circuit, and you'll be able to hear how this pedal can affect the sound if you were using a Mark I Kraken. But after that, I'm going to bump the presence on the amp up a little bit, and we'll hear how it behaves with this Mark II version. All right, I'm going to engage the bass shift so that the bass has tightened up. All right. Gotta say, Mark I Kraken team, I liked what I heard there with that little extra top end and the low end. Again, it remained clean and well composed with just the right amount of low end rumble being added in. And as you could hear as I raised up the amp's presence control, it's a different frequency than what the pedal itself delivers. And I think that's a great example of how you could still potentially benefit from a pedal like this, even if your amp has a presence control and a depth control. All right, it is time for a post-gig report on this unit. Now, I had this behind the Kraken this weekend at our gig, and I could immediately tell with the low end there was a big difference there because I was using that Mako 112 cab. That cabinet lacks the low end power that a good 212 or 412 has, but the Vintage 30 that's in that cab can easily cope with the extra low end without getting muddy, so this pedal really let me push the low end more to get more grunt out of that cabinet. But this, don't make a mistake, this is not going to magically transform your 112 into sounding like a 212 or a 212 sounding like a 412. However, it can absolutely help you beef up or brighten the sound that you already have. So yeah, it was a great companion to the Kraken on stage, and it really gave me that extra flexibility that the amp itself doesn't have. And although the Kraken, it and the Mako cabinet, they both sound absolutely awesome on stage together, no one ever complained about a little bit more girth. Okay, so it is time for a conclusion, and who do I think that this pedal is for? Okay, so pedals like this, they're not exactly glamorous. They don't make any cool whiz bang effects, or they don't make your guitar sound like a spaceship or an anime girl or anything like that, but the usefulness of a utility pedal like this cannot be overstated. A lot of you are no doubt aware of how big of an impact that these utility pedals can make on your sound, and some can become almost like must-have staples in getting your sound to be just right how you like it. I think it's pretty apparent at this point whether or not this is something that you can find useful with your setup. I mean, not all amps need the extra low end, but some amps do. The same goes for top end presence, and having the ability to disable either one of these based on what your amp needs, it's really helpful. And although there's a nice range of boost for both sides here, I think GupTech did a really good job of not letting either frequency get like wildly out of control, which is something that can easily happen with most EQ-based sliders, or pedals with the EQ sliders on them. Speaking of those, I'm sure some of you are asking, well, why not just get an EQ pedal with the sliders? Wouldn't I be able to kind of do the same thing that this pedal does, but just have that much more control? As someone who has the Mark II Empress parametric EQ pedal and an MXR 10-band EQ pedal, I think both of those pedals have their uses, but what I like about this and what makes me more inclined to reach for something like this compared to those other two is the simplicity of it. I feel like unless you're after something extremely specific with the sound, less truly is more with pedals like this. You get as much or as little extra bass or treble, kind of within reason, as you need, and that's pretty much it. There's really not anything else to mess with, and there's no real risk of ending up with a weird sort of fake EQ sound that's like unnatural sounding. I mean, it's hard to describe, but you probably know what I mean by unnatural if you've ever messed around with an EQ pedal in the loop. So at less than $100, for a unit that does exactly what I think most players actually need an EQ pedal to do, this is sort of, this is a great always on companion for your amp. But like I said in the beginning of this video, one of you is gonna get one of these things for free. So whoever wins, keep that extra $100 in your pocket. Go get extra cheese on your Big Mac. So how do you win? Well, it's easy. Two things. First, be a subscriber. It's totally free and every sub matters. It's because of all of you that companies like GupTech are willing to send me stuff to try out and to share with you guys. The other thing you need to do is easy as well. Just drop a comment down below. It can be literally anything, like maybe what's your favorite pedal and why? Or maybe what piece of gear do you want me to try out next? If you've had your eye on something and you're wondering how does it work in the studio, or more importantly, how does something like whatever it is you might be looking at, how does it work on stage in a real world environment? Definitely let me know, because that's where I think some equipment can absolutely thrive and really kind of prove their worth. So yeah, all you have to do is subscribe and comment down below, and on June 7th, this is Saturday coming up, I'm going to take everyone's name who entered and I'm going to put it in a random name picker, and I'm going to pick the winner and get you hooked up with GupTech to get your pedal. Sound like a plan? All right, well that's going to wrap up this review of the GupTech PDEQ pedal. I'll have a link to their website down there in the video description, and I will also have affiliate links to all of the stuff that I've used in this video as well. Oh, and by the way, Zounds have the metallic blue version of this guitar. There's like 2 open box deals for those, and I think it's like 500 bucks off the list price. So if you want a really good deal for a great playing and great sounding guitar that's very flexible, can do the acoustic thing, the electric thing, 500 bucks off is an absolutely smoking deal. Next, another big thanks to GupTech for sending me this pedal to try out, as well as one other one. We'll be talking about that soon. And also, thank you for the arranging the giveaway for a pedal. And also, a big thanks to all of you for hanging out and checking this thing out with me. Stay tuned for the next GupTech pedal video, and I will see you guys later. Take care. Bye.